So if balance is a lie, the truth is rhythm. You can't balance a hurricane. You pay a cognitive tax. We define true impact. Forget the quarterly check. From the mission statement to the corporate debt. You gotta lead with strategy. You gotta own your rock. We're moving beyond the bottom line and reaching for the sky. We're moving beyond the bottom line without the lead. If you're watching this, you probably have an idea of what it's like to be tired. And no, I'm not talking about a take a vacation type tired. I mean, like your soul is tired. You may be chasing a myth called the work-life balance. And in theory, it sounds really wonderful. But in actuality, it's impossible to give 100% of yourself to your business or your work, and then 100% to your family, and then 100% to your health, then 100% to your wealth. We have to learn how to partition things because in all actuality, you can't balance a hurricane. You feel apologetic when you leave the office. You often feel anxiety when you walk through the front door. Let's get some freedom today. Let's dispel the myth of the work-life balance. In informatics, we don't try to balance bad data with good data. We partition it. We create safe and secure firewalls to section it off. We don't allow the bad data to corrupt the good data. Many leaders suffer from a term I like to call cross-contamination, where the anxiety of their work life often bleeds over into their home life, and vice versa. But today, we want to get free from that. Let's take steps to balance the scales. Let's go beyond the bottom line. We live in the era of the bleed. In the corporate world, it looks like the hustle culture. And it's the ideology that if you're available to answer emails that come through at 9 p.m., that you're showing that you're dedicated and that you have the goals and the mission of the company at hand. In the ministry world, is the servant's heart, that you're always available even when you're not available. This is not multitasking. This is actually switch tasking because there's no such thing as multitasking. And every time you go from being dad to CEO to pastor, or mom to CEO to pastor, you pay a cognitive tax and you actually rob the people who matter the most of having the thing that they need the most, which is you, fully there, fully aware, fully present. When you're everywhere all the time, you're never where you need to be any of the time. So if balance is a lie, then what is the truth? The truth is rhythm. In informatics, we don't just look at snapshots. We look at trends. We look and see how things are moving over time. Even if you look at the stock market, if you look at a snapshot, it appears to be chaotic. But if you look over a span of 10 years, you see that it's actually moving with the rhythm. The thing about life is that life is not just a series of snapshots, but life is a pendulum. It swings back and forth, back and forth. The idea of balance is that it's a static state, and that is not the truth. That is not the trend of it being a static state. But life continues to go and move, and life is realistic and it's a current. It moves. And in certain seasons of our lives, we can't expect things to be 50-50. And if you apply it to things that are good and things that are bad, then that would mean half of the time things are going bad for you. And then half of the time things are going good for you. Let's dispel the myth and let's look at the heart of the issue. Sometimes life happens. Life comes in waves. It comes in drones. It goes up and down. It moves in and out. Some seasons of your life may require more from you in work, or some may require more from you in life. Case in point, you may be getting ready to roll out a new adventure, a new thing that your company has to go forward with. And it requires you to spend more time of your days to create a great launch for the next initiative. And you may have to have conversations with your family to say, look, I know that dad can't be at every soccer game or every practice that you have. But for the next 3 months, I may be a little bit absent, but it's going to balance out. It's going to come back around. Like it's going to swing back and I'll be able to do more at the time. Life is about communication. You have to have those communications. You have to be able to partition, know when to separate and when to dissociate when necessary. The scripture is clear. It says, to everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. It does not say that to every day there's a perfectly balanced schedule. And that is what we like to think. And that's what we like to believe. But that is not true. That is not life. Truth is rhythm, remember? But the key to sanity is not balance. It's actually intentional imbalance. There are some goals that you're going to have. It's going to require you to devote more time to get it done, especially when there are time constraints. But the key to it is communication. You have to communicate with those that you have a responsibility to. Let them know what your goal is. Let them know what the goal is going to require of you. But also assure them and let them know that this is not permanent, that life is a pendulum. It will swing back around and you will be able to do what you would normally do. So how do we stop this? The bleed. In informatics, we call it partitioning. You need to build walls. This is the Partition Protocol. Partition 1, the transition ritual. In the days of old, or the days of yesteryear, before COVID-19, it used to be the commute to going home. You need a switch in your brain that says, okay, I'm leaving work and I'm going home. And so now that may look like you need to change clothes after you get home. Take a bath or take a shower. Do something to signal to your brain that it's time to go from work mode to home mode. That may mean take a drive around the block. Don't bring the work energy into the home space. Partition 2, the device discipline. Sometimes you just need to turn your phone off. Don't bring it to bed with you. Don't bring it in every space with you. Have a demilitarized zone. Don't bring it to the dinner table. Some practical things you can do is buy an alarm clock. I mean a real one, like one from 1995. It goes bonk, bonk, bonk. Yeah, that one. Don't bring the internet into your bedroom. If you're going to be tempted to check emails and respond and take calls, set it aside, partition it, put a wall, and sometimes that means a physical wall, between you and your device. Partition 3, the no filter. You cannot say yes to your family if you cannot say no to the world. Every time you say yes, you're effectively saying no to something else. So every time you take a late coffee meeting, you may be saying no to tucking your kids in. Every time you say yes to a family dinner, you may be saying no to a late business lunch. However, whenever you begin to say no in one area, you increase your presence in the other area. So have the no filter. Knowing what and when to say no is your strategic advantage. Again, when you partition your life, you increase your presence. So don't be 50% here and 50% there. Be 100%. When you're at work, be 100% at work. When you're at home, be 100% at home. Let's start by doing that. Being 100% right here, right now. Let me show you what happens when an entire country gets on one accord about this. In 2017, the country of France implemented a law. It was called Le Droit à la déconnexion. In translation, it means the right to disconnect. This law required that companies that have at least 50 employees have to make it a part of their policies and procedures that all employees have a right to disconnect from work after 5 p.m. That means that they don't have to respond to emails. They don't have to take phone calls. They don't have to take last minute business meetings. They don't have to travel for work beyond 5 p.m. And the business community thought that it would be chaos. They thought, how could France continue to serve their clients who may be international or maybe overseas or who may span different time zones? But France also knew and understood that if their workers are always busy and are always available because they're accessible, then they will not ever have the ability to partition. And to France, that meant something. That meant something to be able to say that in our country, our workers do not have to be available just because they're accessible. After 2 years of implementing this strategy, these are the following stats that they found. And then we'll productivity, a 12% increase in output during work hours, a 23% reduction in employee turnover, an 18% decrease in stress-related absences, and a 15% improvement in creative problem solving. But here's the most telling metric. French workers reported feeling more engaged at work because they know they had protected their time at home. The walls, the partitions, make both sides get stronger. When you're at work, you're able to focus on work. When you're at home, you're able to focus at home. The French understood that always being available meant that you sometimes never have time for self, for family, for things that are important to the workers. But this isn't just a French phenomenon. You also have other companies that means that between the work hours of 6:15 and 7, that you cannot send them an email. You cannot call them because they're not available. There's also another country that when you send a person an email and they're on vacation, there's an auto delete. They're not able to go in and retrieve that email that you sent because they were on vacation. Why? Because they were on vacation. Partition yourself. Partition your time at work. Partition your time at home. It makes things a lot better. All right, we're going into the nightcap, and this is an important part of the episode. Let's talk about what happens at the end of life. This topic, work, life, family, is often one that leaders tend to regret the most. I've had the privilege of sitting at the bedside of several successful business owners, business leaders, pastors, CEOs, bishops. Not one of them ever said, I wish I'd hit one more quarterly target. Not one of them have ever said that I should have sent another email. I should have spent more time in the office. What they did say was that I wish I would have made more time for my family. I wish I would have made it to more family dinners. I wish I would have made it to more ball games. I wish I would have taken another vacation with my family. And so I want you to be free in that. I don't want that to be your story. Make the time for your family. Make the time for your values. The lyrics to our theme song says you've got to lead with strategy. You've got to own your why. Your why, in many cases, is not a metric that you catalog on a spreadsheet. Your why is sitting at the dinner table. Your why has a name. Your why is waiting for you to look up from the screen and actually see them and notice them. On tonight, take time as we go into the nightcap to make time for your family. Make time for yourself. Be healthy. Be whole. Let's continue going beyond the bottom line. I am your host, Dr. Lee, and let's continue to be great.